So now we'll move on to the next presentation, which was going to be Shad from Canada, who is unfortunately seems to be having some problems connecting right now. So we will move on to a presentation by Matthieu Graffin, who will be from Citeos Omexom, who will be telling us about a very interesting project, the lighting of the Palace of Versailles, a very emblematic thing. So Matthieu, do you want to share your screen and your presentation?
Yes. Okay. Hi everybody. Today we're gonna talk about the lighting works in the park of the Versailles Palace in France. I will start by introducing myself. I am Matthieu Graffin, and I'm delighted to be in charge of all the architectural lighting works in the area of Paris for the Vinci Energy Group. Citeos is the French brand of Vinci Energy dedicated to the light in the cities all over France. In other countries, maybe in your country, these works might be done under the name Omexom. Our business unit, Citeos Major Projects, is in charge of all the big and specific projects about light and smart city for Paris and around. Among other expertises, we have a team dedicated to architectural lighting and illuminations. We can take part at any stage of the value chain of the project, from the conception alongside with lighting designer to the DMX programmation and the maintenance of the installations with very strong abilities for on-field work. We are very familiar with all the different types of buildings and monuments, from famous ancient architectural monuments like Versailles to very technical recent buildings. For example, we have worked on the Montparnasse Tower, on the Modern Art Museum in Paris, on the footbridges for the business district of La Défense, or on churches, castles, and many others. So first, we can start with a bit of context about Versailles. As you may know, the Palace of Versailles was built in the 17th century by the King Louis XIV, also known as the Sun King. The castle itself was designed by Louis Le Vau, and the park was designed by André Le Nôtre, who might be one of the world's most famous landscapers. Versailles is very close from Paris, only a few kilometers away in the southwest, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And it welcomes more than 10 million of visitors each year. At Citeos, we have been working in Versailles since 2014, and we have already done around 1.7 million euros of work. A part of this work has been made as a patronage from the group Vinci. Our work represents each year 1,600 on-field work hours, approximately 4 people during 3 months. Each year, one part of our job is to continue the installations of persistent lighting on the most remarkable parts of the gardens, and the other part is to install all the lights for the show, which take place every Saturday from mid-June to mid-September, and which greets around 10,000 people each Saturday. This show is called Les Grandes Eaux Nocturnes, which can be basically translated in the Great Nocturnal Waters. During these shows, the spectators can walk all over the gardens during all the evening, and today I'm gonna do some of the walk with you. The global scenography includes the persistent installations already done and the annual work, which is removed after the summer. It has been designed by the French lighting designer Laurent Fachard from Les Éclairagistes Associés. The scenery tries to replicate the atmosphere of the magnificent parties made by the Sun King and still add sometimes some bits of modernity. All the famous groves designed by Le Nôtre have their own part of scenography. Each one of the 3,500 thousands of lights can be individually driven by DMX. Many of them have a candle effect that recalls the times when more than 1,000 people were there each evening just to make the lights last all night long for the king's good pleasure. I'm now gonna give you some technical information about the work. As you can see on the pictures, we use here many different types of projectors. We have in-ground luminaires to highlight all the statues. We have underwater projectors for the water jets. We have small light dots for the facade of the palace, and even reproduction of historical ancient lanterns, and many others. All of the lights are individually controlled by DMX protocol through optical fiber and DMX wires using more than 7.5 thousand DMX addresses. And a GSM modem allows us to control the whole installation from a smartphone. Let's now have a quick focus on the facade of the palace. By the way, on the first floor of this picture sits the very famous Galerie des Glaces, from which the king could see all of the park. So on this facade, we have put precisely 858 small warm white lights. They are called power picks. They have been very carefully installed on the historical lead edges without boring holes in it. You also have 31 in-ground luminaires for the bottom of the facade. And you can't see it on the picture, but during the Saturday evening shows, the candle effect is particularly observable here. We can now have a look on the basin of Neptune, one of the remarkable places of the park. We have here 150 red, green, blue, white underwater projectors that are driven by 6 smart control boxes located in the historical galleries under the floor. All the water jets are historical as well, and the lights, like the music, are synchronized on the water effect, which is very impressive when you look at it. We can notice that like other basins or groves in the park, or like the facade, this installation has been realized through Vinci patronage, and it is now persistent. And we will finish our ride with a focus on the Grande Perspective, which is the axis going from the Galerie des Glaces at the right of the map to the Grand Canal at the left. People gather there at the end of the show des Grandes Eaux Nocturnes. They can first admire the 2 monumental parterres d'eau with their statues and water jets at the bottom of the facade. They will then have a look at the bassin de la Tonne, his statues and the millimetric bushes around. And eventually they will marvel at the great fireworks shot from over this beautiful basin called the Chariot of Apollon. And the show is now over. It's time for me to thank you for listening and to give you my contact. Don't hesitate to call if you need more info. And yes, I think there is some time for a few questions now.
Thank you so much, Matthieu.
Welcome.
We have some questions from the chat box.
Okay.
There is one which is linked to, is there a general concept with this lighting for Versailles, and is it linked to the exchange with the EU and other UNESCO heritage lighting and garden initiatives? If you that. I'm not aware of that. I can't answer that question. I don't know, because we're not doing the conception on that. We're doing the works and installing the lights and making it work. But so I can't tell you if there is an exchange with other UNESCO sites. Sorry. Okay.
It might be a good idea. I will tell them to do so.
Yes, exactly. It's something to see, to question if it's done or not. Yeah.
Why not?
Yes. And okay, so we have some compliments also on the huge work that has been done. So bravo.
Yes,
and
thank you.
We have a question
Yes,
on the fountain.
Very
Yes,
good question on the fountain. Yes, I think some of them, maybe on the basin of Neptune, here, this one, some of them are still working by gravity, and you have like a bunch of guys doing the work with ancient lead. I don't know what's the word, but they are still making it work by gravity with and all the pipes are still from the time of the Sun King.
And also because it's such an emblematic site and it's so architecturally important. You mentioned a little bit about how you took care when lighting to not make holes in the facades. Were there other solutions that you had to think about for this? Because I know there are a lot of people here who are interested in heritage lighting architecture, and it can be
no, I think it was the main point, but all the lights are designed very carefully to be fitting well in the site and not disturbing the historical part of the site. And some of the lights are removed at the end of each summer and put again in place at the beginning of the next summer. But so we do it very carefully. But I think the lead edges for the facade was the main problem for the heritage site. And for the gardens, maybe as it's a living garden, we're just doing it very carefully, but we had no very strong adaptations to do.
Okay. Thank you. And we also have a very specific question as well about the power consumption of the entire installation. If you have the numbers for that. Do you know what the power consumption of the installation is?
Yeah, maybe I can find it, but I don't have it here.
Okay, well, you can put it in the chat box later when you have that, right?
Okay.
Great, and I think maybe we have time for one last question, which was also from Kurt about more about the intention. Could you tell us a little bit more about what you aimed to achieve through this project at the start?
So we are not doing the conception. It's made by a French lighting designer called Laurent Fachard from Les Éclairages Associés. So we just had, at the beginning when we came, we just had the intention to do the best work for this great place. And so now we are just, the adventure is going on, and we are very happy to do it every year. We are really very lucky to work in such a beautiful place, and every time we go there we see how lucky we are, and we just try to respect it and to give our best to highlight this great place.
Okay. Yes. No, I mean, it's a really important, as I said, such an emblematic and important site. So there's a lot of let's say pressure as well, a lot of expectations that you have to live up to.
Sure.
So well done.
Thank you.
Well done, and thank you very much, Matthieu, for your presentation and for answering all our questions today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.